Hello, humane marketers. Sarah Znakrocha here. Welcome to another episode of the Humane Marketing Podcast, a place to be for the generation of marketers who cares. This is the show where we talk about marketing your business in a way that feels good to you, is aligned with your values, and also resonates more with your conscious customers because it's not pushy, ethical, and also beautiful. So if you're a regular here, you know that I'm organizing the conversations around the 7 Ps of humane marketing. And if you're new here and this is your first time, welcome. I'm so excited you're here. You may want to download your one-page marketing plan with the 7 Ps of humane marketing in the form of a mandala at humane.marketing/one page, the number one and page. So again, humane.marketing/one page. And with that, with no further ado, let's dive into today's conversation. Hey, Remeny, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to get to talk to you again. We've had several chances off and on recording. This time we're recording again. So good to speak to you. We met through a networking, I was going to say a networking event, but it was through another person who connected the two of us.
Yes,
I think
indeed.
she talked to you after just talking to me, and she's like, you both talk about humanizing business.
Yes.
I think you should know each other.
Yes, exactly. It was serendipity. It was great.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I think you told me that you just bought my Selling Like We're Human book like the week before. So
yes,
yeah.
which is funny. It was so weird. I mean, talk about serendipity. It was like, oh wow, I'm obviously that's never happened before. You're the first person who I've kind of bought the book and then suddenly landed in my life. It's very exciting.
I love these moments.
Yes.
Love them. Yeah. So yeah, that's why we're here, because we have, very similar worldviews, business views, our values are aligned. And so I feel like we have a lot of things in common and
Absolutely.
can talk a lot of things about a lot of things as well. So your business is called Brilliant and Human, and you also have this tagline on your homepage that says, let's humanize business together. So
yes, absolutely.
Tell us more. Tell us about your story and how this all started.
Oh, well, thank you. So, well, yes, as you say, it's Brilliant and Human is my business. The idea is by being more human, you can be more brilliant. And so the focus of the work that I do is all about making people in business happier by building better relationships with them. And the way I do that at the moment is focusing more on the client side and building better relationships with clients by proactively listening to clients and actually learning what makes them, or what would make them happier with their suppliers and the businesses that they're working with, so that they can help the businesses improve. So typically I interview my clients, find out what's working, what's not, and look at ways of improving a business so that they can serve their clients better with more humanity and more care, and actually hopefully promote happier working environment.
Yeah, I will definitely ask more questions about that, because when I first heard you say that, I was like, wow, that's interesting. I've never heard that before. And in fact, we're featuring this episode under the P of partnership of the Humane Marketing Mandala. And it's really this partnership with your clients, right?
Yes.
And I guess for you, it's with your clients as well.
Yes.
Because that's who you're really talking to.
Yes. And
so
I think
how did you turn that idea into, now your business model and services?
Well, I had been working in agencies, so digital agency. I got into marketing and biz dev for digital agencies for, since 99. And I was, the person who people came to build the relationships with the potential clients mainly. But I always felt that, I would spend a long time doing new business, building relationships, bringing clients in, built on trust and humanity and care. And then the agency, the team would be working with the client, would be getting on fine with the client. But then often what would happen is that the project would finish and then the client would go off and do something else with someone else. And I always felt frustrated and felt that there was more opportunity there to build those relationships so that you've got more human and engaging relationships so that they stay more loyal, so that they continue to work with you. And if they move to another business, they go on and they get, they'll keep working with you because it's people working with people. And so I decided to leave the agency after 10 years, and I set up Brilliant and Human. And originally I was doing marketing and biz dev and then the client care piece, but then I've become more and more focused on the client care and the client advocacy piece and that human engagement. So because I think that businesses are often so busy doing the bulk of the work that they're doing and looking at how to win new business and things like that, that they actually often lose or don't have time to nurture those relationships ongoing because they're busy doing the work today and not necessarily building those relationships ongoing. So that's kind of how I came up with the idea. And so in my previous agency, I would interview clients, but then it was just about that one client and fixing problems usually. Whereas now I'm speaking to a range of clients for one business, and then there's often themes that come out, and then we can try and help improve ways of working and improve, it could be anything from marketing to business strategy to processes, identifying new services clients are asking for. And so that's kind of how I came into doing what I do.
I love that. Yeah, it's so often, also in this marketing world, we're always taught to get new clients, right? That's the whole idea of marketing as well. It's like, okay, let me help you to get more and more clients, where what you're saying is like, well, actually, why don't you deepen the relationships with your existing or maybe even past clients, right?
Yes.
To me, what that brings up is kind of this idea of sustainability as well. Like, don't just throw away your clients and move on to the next one. Actually, deepen that relationship. So I guess that, yeah, tell us about the impact that you see just in a minute. But I would also say that probably also then leads to more referrals. If I think about it, it's like, well, since the relationship is deeper with your clients, well, then they will talk more about the service you provide to other people.
Yeah. And
what other impact is there?
Well, I mean, that is certainly one of them. I've just interviewed someone a couple of hours ago, and it was definitely an advocate for the person I was interviewing for, the agency I was working for. And the client was saying that, how much she loved the supplier and how she'd become friends with them and how she's worked with this person, this business for years,
right,
in the last 3 or 4 roles that she's been in, because she trusts this person absolutely implicitly, this right. organization. And that in itself is like, she is the best marketing tool you could have. And so I believe that if you can proactively try to nurture those relationships, your clients, from, happy enough clients to advocates, they are going to be the most powerful tool you've got in your, marketing kit, because you can then ask them for advice on, whether or not it's what marketing should we be doing, or using that they're getting their testimonials or their case studies and actually, promoting your business with them, maybe in alignment or in collaboration with your clients as well. There's often opportunities there. But you were asking about other impact. I mean, I've seen lots of different areas of impact from, obviously the marketing, but also I've had a number of occasions where clients have been saying they really like the organization, the business, but actually they don't feel, for example, they might not be proactive enough, then they might not be thinking innovatively, then they might not be thinking about the future. And actually opportunities have come up for my clients to come up with new services or new products to meet the needs of their clients. And then they can then grow off the back of what their clients are actually asking for. So I've had a couple of clients. I have one client who their clients were all saying they wanted them to be more strategic, and within 6 months they were making 40% profit off the back of what their clients were asking for. I've had other, impact. Sometimes the work and the findings I find can be quite difficult for a business to hear. It's not always good, and it can be very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm
So
going to ask you about that because I think you probably have some stories there
yeah,
as
I
well.
do. And it is, I mean, people have to be quite brave to hear truly honest feedback, because it can be hard. And I've had situations where I've interviewed clients and it's been really clear there's one team member that might be causing trouble within the organization that is upsetting the clients, and the clients are leaving because they don't feel they can feed that back. And actually you're going to lose business unless you're actually aware of what's going on within your organization, and then act on it, and then feed that back to your clients and make sure that you're showing that you can be vulnerable, but you are trying to fix issues. And I mean, I had another client where their clients were finding that the way they were being serviced with the projects they were working on was so appalling that they were complaining, and again they were leaving in droves. And it was because some of the processes were so bad and the way they were being treated was so negative that they were deeply unhappy. And so after speaking to their clients, who all said they felt like they were being over-promised, under-delivered, that once my client understood what was going on, they were able to fix those problems, went to their clients, apologized, was really open and upfront, and said, look, really sorry, but this is what we're going to do to fix it. And their satisfaction rating went from 22% to 74% over 4 months, just by being honest. So I think that impact, that can save reputation.
Yeah, it's so good. So many things I want to kind of go back to. I think the first one is what I heard you say, when you talk to the clients of your clients, you really find out what they want and what they, their expectations are. But sometimes as the people who are delivering the service or creating the products, we're not actually aware of what our clients really want. And so we give them what we think they need, but maybe it's completely the wrong thing. And so actually talking to your clients really gives you that information, doesn't it? So that you can then adjust the business and say, oh, okay. And also adjust the marketing, because in marketing, if we are talking about something that they don't actually want, well, obviously that's going to be a problem. Nobody's going to buy our services anymore. So I think that was such an important point you made there. I forgot now. Oh, the other thing, I think about my humane marketing circle, where last year we did a town hall meeting, and I said, look, let's get all together and let's think about how we can make this circle even better next year. And it was just so helpful to hear different opinions, and people, say, well, actually, I think the calls are too short, and, can we add this? Can we have a community platform? So really, creating it almost together, that I think is really helpful. But you're right, it also does take courage to say, what if they're going to say we don't like it, or what if these issues come up? But that's why transparency, I think, is just so key, and it takes courage.
And it might be that you are aware that things aren't going quite as smoothly, but you don't know how to quite approach it. And actually, by having impartial feedback and interviewing impartially, it means that then the clients can feedback honestly, and then it opens those conversations up that might be difficult to have if you try and do it yourself, because it's totally natural to try and defend your business or defend your people, when actually and I think it's much easier for the clients to say, well, I'd rather not feed that back, because it's much easier just to find someone else. And actually, when you fix things, clients become so much more loyal. And if you are saying, look, I'm sorry, we've messed this up, or I understand that you're interested in this, let's talk, open those conversations up, and try to do it with someone who's not going to take anything personally.
What are some things that you hear over and over again, like complaints, or just
there's three, I'd say there's three complaints that come up the most frequently. And one of them is lack of processes, or kind of not very strong processes, or the clients are aware that the processes are failing here and there, which you don't want. Lack of proactivity and lack of communication. So they're all really intertwined with each other. If you've got good processes, hopefully the other two will be fixed. And equally, if you've got good communication and you're being more proactive with the way you're thinking, you can build things up. And I believe generally that if you look at your customer journey or client journey, when are you speaking to them, when are you engaging with them, and then you think about that, the process is proactivity and communication. At each one of those points, can you improve anything that you're doing with your clients to address any of those three things? I think every business could improve by doing that. And ultimately, bottom line, be more human, actually engage with your clients in a human way. And the other one that comes up, it's not so much as of a complaint, but tied to the proactivity thing. But again, a lot of my clients say that they wish that their supplier were a bit more proactive and forward thinking and taking time to understand their business and then come up with solutions that were valuable for them. And so being a bit more proactive with their thinking and ideas for how you can serve your clients better, which of course is going to bring you more business if you're trying to think of ways of doing things better.
Can you give us an example of a process that they're referring to? Are they referring to like customer experience, or more like delivery process, or what is an example?
With the kind of proactivity or that side of things, or
you were saying process.
So process is kind of thinking about how you might be delivering your service and you have a team of people working on something, and say your onboarding processes, actually things might not be clear, or who's doing what within a team. Actually make it really clear who people are, what they're doing, and who you should be getting in touch with for what. Or when you're delivering part of the service, make sure that the clients are clear on what is being delivered, when, how, and the timings, being really clear with your timescales and things like that. But just giving people certainty of how things are working with your processes can improve things. And I think that causes frustration when people aren't clear.
That's such a good point. I see that happening to me when I sign up for something, and then the calendar isn't there and you have to go back and forth to find a date, or like little things, right? I'm thinking mainly about my solopreneurs, heart-centered business owners, entrepreneurs. Like the onboarding process is so important, because that is the first kind of interaction that your client has with you. And so you can really either shine and, just impress the heck of the client, or everything can be a bit clunky and things are just not quite organized. And I think people do notice it. If they talk to you, they probably say, it was not great.
Yes. And I think as well for the solopreneurs and the smaller businesses, it's an interesting one, because they might not have a big team, but actually when you're speaking to your clients as a solopreneur, talk to them about your processes and talk to them about what they want and how do they want those processes to work. Do they want weekly meetings? Do they want meetings monthly, or do you want to do it so that how do you want to be treated and nurtured, and are you better on the phone, or are you better on Zoom? Or actually it's not, it's that old saying, do as unto others as you do unto yourself. Actually, it's what do your clients want. It's not how you want to be working with. It's actually making sure that you're adaptable and you're flexible. So I think it's important to stay agile. And again, it's that human conversation and trust. Make sure that you build that trust, and you're honest. And if you're going to be late for something, there's always going to be hiccups. That's fine. Just tell your clients. Don't hide.
I think that's that integrity piece that is so essential here as well. Like be true to your word. And we do that in our marketing, but we also do that in our delivery. And I, find myself, it's probably not a good thing, but I find myself judging when I don't see that integrity, when someone promises something and I don't see it, I don't get it, unless of course there's a good reason and they tell me, oh, I couldn't get it on time, like you just mentioned, communicate. But the integrity piece, I think, is so key there.
And I think it goes back to that, the humanizing business.
Yeah.
If you are proactively human with your clients and the people you're working with, and you're honest, and I mean, it sounds awful, but I think it opens up the opportunity for, if you are going to mess up or you're not going to deliver something, because you've been really honest and you've been really human and you've told them the truth all the way along,
right?
If something's going to go wrong, they're probably going to forgive you much quicker.
Yeah.
If you've actually been upfront and said, look, sorry, this has happened and I will do what I can to make this happen.
Yeah.
People appreciate that honesty.
Yeah, it feels like I have this image of a piggy bank. Every time you did something good, you did something on time, there's like, some money in your piggy bank, and then finally you're like, ooh, I messed this one up. They're like, oh, it's fine, your piggy bank is full. So it really feels, you're right, they'll forgive you much easier than if you kind of emptied the bank account before.
Yes, exactly. And then the other thing that it reminds me of, again, from a lot of people's feedback, is having the courage to challenge your clients. And again, I think for like solopreneurs or any business, but I think the idea is, you're the expert, you should be confident in what you're going to be delivering. And your clients, yes, they say clients are always right, but they're not always right. And they don't know everything. And actually, I think it's important to have the confidence to challenge your clients sometimes and tell them, no, this isn't quite right. I don't think this is going to get you the results you want. Have a discussion with them and be brave about the fact that you know your stuff, and have that human conversation. Don't just say yes, 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 because then when things go wrong, well, you haven't got a leg to stand on. If you said, well, yes, I just did what you said, but I mean, you can maybe just hide behind that. But I think you get better results if you can actually be honest about your belief and don't just do what you want. And also don't just say, yes, I'll deliver because that's what you want. If you can't, say so.
Yeah.
Again, it's having those honest conversations.
That's a good point, because I think that as well takes courage, right? To tell your client, actually, I don't think that this text or this, whatever it is that they did, it's not gonna go well, I think you should work on it again, or here's some changes that I suggest. And yes, that's your job. Actually, that's, what they pay you for, is to help guide them through whatever you maybe already have been through, especially in the service business, right? So
exactly.
So it takes courage, but at the same time, it's key. And the other thing that came up for me is boundaries. I think that's another thing that, you establish boundaries as the entrepreneur. That also gives your client kind of, it gives them the idea that, yes, you're there for them, but they can't abuse you either.
Yeah.
So before, you were talking about flexibility, where flexibility, yes, it's good to a certain point, but I don't think we need to overstep our boundaries either. So that we still have that, respect somehow. It's like, oh, I have my personal life as well, and here's where I put the limits on my time or whatever.
Yes, no, I absolutely agree. And I think it's fair enough to have those. You've got to have those boundaries, and otherwise people will take advantage. And you've got to have, I mean, you were saying right at the beginning that, that the idea of that, the partnership. Right. And I'm a really strong believer in building, again, proactively thinking about your relationships with your clients in a way that's relationship led and not transactional led. It is a partnership. Right. It's in your best interest to do a great job for your clients, because it means you can then start singing and shouting about it. And equally, your clients should be wanting to shout about you because you've done a great job. And it's something you'll both be proud of. And I think it's, it shouldn't be just about the money. And again, this client I was just doing an interview for, they love my client, and she was saying, quite often he'll come back and I'll say, can you do this? And he's like, well, no, because that's not going to get you anywhere. And it does him a disservice because he's coming out worse off financially. But she said, but the thing is, I trust him completely, so I will always go with him because he is, I have used him for years in all my different roles. I could never not work with him. And we're friends now. And you think, well, gosh, that's what everyone should aspire to, is having those honest human relationships with your clients.
The one thing that I keep coming back to in my head is we've talked about referrals, so we're getting more referrals. How else can we use our clients, our customers' voice in our marketing? Obviously there's the testimonials. I think there's definitely positives about that, but at the same time, we're kind of maybe tired of these testimonials because they're always positives of testimonials, right? So you're like, well, is that the only thing, or is there other things?
Well, I think that a number of my clients have come to me because they don't know how to differentiate themselves. And actually, there's so much out there nowadays, and you've got the web, there's so much competition. But one of the things that I find by interviewing people's clients, I find out what it is that they like about the business, and why do they work with them? Why did they choose them? What was the message that made them buy? And if you can get that information, you can then use that in your marketing. It's not a testimonial, right? But you start to see those themes, and actually you can then start utilizing that in your design and your marketing and your processes, and use the words your clients use to describe what you do and why they buy. And then hopefully that'll resonate with your other clients. And the other thing is understanding your ideal clients and understanding who they are, and again, why they like you and you like them, and then think, how can I replicate that? And so thinking about how you can mirror your ideal clients, you've got to understand who those ideal clients are and why they're your ideal clients before you can do that. And so I think, again, doing this piece can be valuable because you can start to recognize that and then plot your ideal customer journey or potential clients and move on going that way, using that in your marketing.
I'm curious, I've heard or read somewhere that, on the testimonial page, again, back to that, how usually we only have very positive testimonials. And there's one person, I can't remember who it was, that said, it's actually not a bad thing to have one not so great testimonial, just to kind of show that the other ones are real, they're not made up. What do you think about that approach?
Well, the first thing that jumped into my mind was, that's very brave.
Yeah.
I think, it's, I'm thinking about it. And I think one of the things that would be an interesting approach to that is not necessarily in the testimonials, but having a case study where you admit that maybe things didn't go well at the beginning. And you addressed it, and even saying it's still a work in progress. I think that would be a really interesting thing. I think, yes, if you can do that. My only worry about having a negative testimonial is I might think, well, they've scraped the barrel.
Why did they put this one?
Why did they put that one in? That's just really bad. But I think you could do it as a story, and because showing that you're human and people make mistakes, and use it in that way, and showing that you listen.
I like to the idea of using it in a story, and oftentimes, I guess, the not so good testimonials, you also later realize, well, actually it just probably wasn't the ideal client. Why did I accept the work with them? I didn't do my best job because it was just not a great fit. And sometimes explaining that then helps the real ideal client realize, oh, okay, yeah, I'm different. So I understand why this person was not an ideal fit, and I am.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like the whole, Seth Godin and the purple cows, you shouldn't be for everyone. And actually, by honing in on what you are good at and what's special about you, means you can then get to the right people who will chime, and you can then collaborate with them, work with them. So yeah, I think it's a good point. But yeah, I'm not sure how comfortable I'd be putting a bad testimonial up there.
I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah.
I remember when I first launched the Marketing Like We're Human book, I kind of, I launched it on Kickstarter. And so there was also kind of friends in there, or not friends, like, acquaintances that I met, networking events. And this one guy, he was kind enough to send it to me via email first. And he's like, oh, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to give you a 2-star review. I'm like, okay, can you just hold on with that? I'm going to get some good ones first.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it was just, he was a real corporate marketer that yes, quit his job, but he was still very much, or still is very much, in advertising and big, corporate campaigns and stuff. And so, yeah, clearly, a book about marketing like we're human just didn't resonate with him.
Yeah.
So I told him, oh, just hold on to it a little bit longer. And I haven't gone back to him yet to post it. I was like, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. But it's interesting. And I think you're right. It's recognizing that you aren't going to be for everyone. And actually that's fine. Yeah, and, you're going to get much more traction with the right people if you get the right story. But again, it's identifying what the right story is and the right people are, and then embracing that.
Yeah, so tell me, kind of in closing, how you do that with your clients to really make them understand that it's all about the human interactions and focus on the human. Do they all understand it when they hear back from their clients, or is there sometimes also kind of like a defensive reaction?
It varies. I mean, sometimes I think the thing is, if people are using me to speak to their clients to get that honest feedback, they're going to, there are surprises, but they're obviously open to hearing about the need for change, possibly, or improvements or developments. And that's why they want to use someone like me to do that. Right. But I think I think, again, but that defensive thing is an interesting one, because of course that's, people compare me to a marriage counselor for businesses, because I'm that safe place that people can talk to. Then I will feed it back, even though sometimes it can be quite harsh. Right. But it's then, don't despair when you get the negative, because actually the negative is a great opportunity. You can now grow and change, and then go back to those clients and say, hey, look, we recognize that we wanted to develop things, and we want to speak to you about how we can make things better with you. Equally, it might be that we recognize we don't want to work with you, and actually, I mean, I've interviewed people before, and I've spoken to my client and said, why are you working with that person? They're awful. And actually, that doesn't happen very often, but I think it's recognizing that you shouldn't be working with everyone, and actually getting that honest feedback is a gift, because then you can improve. I mean, most of my clients have, take it on board and make the changes and develop things and speak to their clients, and their clients really like it. They like the fact that they're being listened to. And I also think that it's important to be accountable to your clients. So make sure you feed back and you keep that process up. But it's about being that human thing. It's about proactively being human with your clients and nurturing those relationships, opening those conversations up. So it's not just me interviewing people. I'll then say to my clients, make sure you schedule time in to speak to your clients in a way that isn't just about the transactional work.
You're not the human client's police,
Yes. And so put those processes in place so that you're speaking to your clients, and also remember to speak to clients at different stages of the journey, from when you've won or lost a project, middle of the project, end of the project, 6 months later, just keep those conversations going as a as a human talking to a human, actually, how's it going?
Exactly. Not just, oh, you want to do more work together. That's
No.
usually what we hear. It's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, follow up 6 months after so that you can sell them something else.
Yes.
Well, how about just, check in, how are you doing?
Yes. Or if that's, then there's also the proactivity bit,
Mhm.
which actually, proactively look at how you could help your clients better, and look at how what's happening in their life and their world, and what can you do to make it better for them and for their clients.
Mhm.
And I think that's an important point. I mean, with COVID, I was, it became very much about not just about getting feedback, but it was understanding the client's challenges with what was going on, but then also the opportunities, because things can be good. And again, another tip that I've learned from interviewing is that don't just give your clients solutions. Make sure you understand the business and the challenges of the clients before you go back with, we could do this, we could do that, that's just annoying. Actually know, why should you give them that? Is that going to be valuable? So, but you need to understand your clients as humans and their business to be able to serve them better.
And that leads back to time and listening, because
Yeah.
if you don't take the time and don't listen, well, then yes, you're being proactive, but without really knowing what they really want. So,
exactly.
Yeah. So where would you say our listeners, so mainly solopreneurs, small business owners, consultant coaches, where do they start, with finding out more about what their clients really are thinking?
Well, I think if you're going to be doing it yourself, either do it so that you think about your different clients, your unengaged clients to your engaged to your advocates, and think about, put a list together, and then think of some questions where you can actually start to ask them questions about improvement and how you're doing and the service and what they're doing, and understanding their pains and their challenges, but equally looking at things that you could do to improve your communication or whatever it might be. And then either get someone in your team who isn't directly involved with your project to interview them, or do it yourself if you haven't got someone else within your team, or someone who's completely external to do it. But I think, obviously if you've got someone external, you get much more impartial, honest feedback. But I think if you're brave enough to do it yourself, your clients will appreciate the fact you are asking their opinion and you're asking for ideas for improvement, and then, but don't just do that, you then need to act on it. So you need to, look at what your clients are saying, and then put a plan into place to actually start to improve whatever it is that they're saying, and then feedback to your clients, say, hey, this is what we're doing, thank you so much for that advice or those ideas or whatever it might be, and be accountable to your clients, but keep the conversation going. And also just make sure that even if you aren't interviewing them, like I said earlier, make sure you put a process in place where you are speaking to your clients at different points, and so that you can be constantly nurturing those relationships and building that trust.
So good. Yeah. It's so much more than just your survey monkey, or, like those type form surveys that you send out, and then often you don't ever hear back. You're like, wait a minute, I just, spent 10 minutes giving my feedback, and then there's no return. Like,
what's the point?
What's the point? Yeah. Do you think those surveys actually work, or do we always need to talk to the people?
I think they're good to a point. Not too many questions, make it really quick. There's things like the net promoter scores. I think it's good to a point, because it can give you a flavor for how your clients might be feeling,
right?
And you can get an essence. But then I think then potentially pull out a selection that you could actually have a conversation with, because it's that in-depth insight that you can then start to really understand what your clients are thinking or feeling. And again, I think I said earlier, is get a range of different clients from happy to unhappy, because you'll often get the same feedback but just in a different way. And like you were saying with your circle, actually just asking people for ideas, it's amazing. I mean, it's like, that's what I love about what I do, is I'm just getting people to give me lots of ideas to help the business. And it's like, well, Wow, that was good. Now we've got some ideas how the business, my clients can improve, because that's what their clients are saying. So it's kind of, and they feel special. And if your clients know that you've done something,
they feel heard and
they
seen.
feel heard.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to be heard.
Yeah.
It's such a human thing. So yeah,
This has
it's
been
really,
so good. Thank you
yeah.
so much,
Well,
Rem.
thank you. I hope I haven't got too overexcited about my listening and
I
but
know we could do another episode just on this, but it's been really, really good. Thank you so much. Do share with people where they can find you and learn more about you and your work.
oh, thank you so much. Well, my website is brilliantandhuman.com, and I'm easy to find on LinkedIn. It's just linkedin.com, and then I'm Remeny, Remeny. That's my, it's Remeny Armitage, but I'm fairly easy to find. There's not many of me. But yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I always have one last question, and that is, what are you grateful for today or this week?
Friends and the support of friends. I think that's what I would
Nice.
say.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. We'll speak again soon.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Remeny. Thanks so much for watching and being part of a generation of marketers who cares for yourself, for your clients, and for the planet. We really are change makers before we are marketers. So go ahead, be the change you want to see in the world. And I hope to see you again next week. Take care.